I think the unique thing about this program, well, there were a couple of things. One was that it was completely free, which is fantastic. So it's quite tough being a high street business at the moment, so something that doesn't incur any costs is fantastic. And the other unique thing was the level of people that were participating. So it just seems like it was people who I'd heard of who were fantastically experienced, and to have access into that as a company of our size was an opportunity I couldn't pass up on.
I think the most rewarding part of this program for me has been watching my SME actually develop. So he's the son of the owner of a bakery, and he wanted to learn how to become a better leader and how did he gain some credibility with his team and not just be seen as the son of an owner of the organization. So just watching him develop, taking action with all the things we've agreed to do. We've had some pretty tough conversations, and he's gone away, reflected, done the actions, come back, and then talked about how his organization has been better because of it. And I have to be honest, I kind of felt like a really proud mom that day. So I think that's been very rewarding, just watching him develop, watching actions being taken place in the organization and watching the organization get better because of it.
The most rewarding part so far has been, it actually happened in the past week or so, where some work that my mentor asked me to do has been finished. I presented it to the people I work with, and we've actually made some decisions in the business directly off the back of that, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been working with my mentor, specifically portfolio optimization. So taking out some products which everyone thought were great, and actually when you do the maths, they didn't turn out to be so good. So that's been the most rewarding thing, actually getting some action from the work that I've been asked to do.
The program's actually aided my personal development in multiple ways. So as a leader, my natural style is quite pacey and quite edgy, which also means I tend to be sometimes, well, very often quite directive. And that's great if you have your own team and they're used to your style and they kind of know where they stand and where they fit. When you're dealing with an SME, they don't have to do anything you want them to do. So you have to deal with influencing them and showing them the reasons why you're asking them to do something. So I've seen my influencing skills really ramp up during this program.
I think what's been valuable that I've learned from my mentor so far has been that I think I'm actually quite good at certain things. And before speaking to the mentor, I didn't really know that, because she's really quite honest and straightforward, and she doesn't have to worry about our working relationship after the end of the program. So she can tell me exactly what she thinks. Whereas the people I work with at the moment, all the feedback is sort of based around our working relationship dynamic. So I think she's given me some feedback and actually said, these are the things that you're actually quite good at. So that's given me a lot of confidence to push forward and make decisions in the business based on that.
The most insightful piece of advice was, I think when we argued a bit about whether they should take a certain action that I was requesting them to. And he wasn't fully bought into the concept. And I realized I needed to work on my skills of influencing him to do the right thing. And I also needed to be less directive. So I think he's quite used to my style of, bang, 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 let's do X, Y, Z, and we should see outcome A, B, C. But I recognize that, he may not like the directive style, and he might want me to influence a little bit more. And so I think I've learned from him that I need to maybe tailor my approach based on what the situation calls for.
I think the way I lead has changed slightly, because in the past I've always been a bit nervous about going directly to a problem and solving it myself, whereas I've always tried to stick within the structure of the business and go to the manager responsible for the person. And that is the right way to do things, but it's also the slowest way. And when you're personally involved with the business, you have a personal responsibility, I think, to address the problem straight away. And if it is a quick thing and someone isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, go directly to them and put it right straight away.
I think there's some very serious value of having mentors from external companies, external to my organization. Doesn't matter whether they're big or small, they just have a different perspective. So each company has its own culture and its own perspective. And if you're in a company or an organization for a long period of time, you kind of get ingrained in that way of thinking. And I think to get an external perspective is pretty fantastic, because they don't necessarily think the same way you do or your organization does. And I think that just becomes a better sounding board at times, as the case might be.